We're here at Cudgewar today and we're running an information session for local farmers about technical advice and helping them with early decision making in a tight time.
And it's tough because we've got this imbalance between feed supply and animal requirements. And trying to balance up those two sides to an equation is pretty tricky. And at the moment, there's definitely a deficit in the feed supply side of that equation.
All the animals are under nutritional stress with the trying conditions that we've had through summer and even through last spring. Particularly now, as we're starting to come into the colder weather, that nutritional stress actually increases because the cold makes it so that they actually need an extra 20% more energy requirements just to keep warm.
Today's certainly all about making sure animals are well looked after and have their people aware of their nutritional needs and the animal health requirements of their livestock.
If you're looking at animals every day, it's hard to see if they're slowly declining in their, we call it condition score, so in the amount of fat they've got. Once they get to the point where they've got not much fat left, they'll start mobilising their muscle to keep energy just to stay alive and to do basic things like walking around to eat more.
Today we spoke with farmers about containment feeding and how to use it as a proactive tool to try and conserve a bit of ground cover while it's dry, as well as being able to control feeding a bit more closely of livestock.
Potentially, if they're in a paddock situation as well, they're using more energy walking around trying to find small amounts of feed on the ground.
It's catch-22 at the moment because the options of what you can go out and get is pretty limited, like supply statewide is tight. So for a lot of people it is a matter of getting what you can, like that's the reality at the moment. But I guess the point that we make is that use something like a feed test so you do know what you're getting. Understand what the quality is that you've been able to source in terms of energy and protein, and then make sure that that meets your animal requirements. It informs how much you have to feed, and it informs also what the animals are going to do when you're offering them that supplement.
Your time and the actual feed itself is so expensive, is to make sure you're preferentially feeding the most important animals. So the animals that are growing particularly, because that growth is setting them up for their whole lifetimes.
Early decision making is to really act early, get your information.
So as animals are eating closer to the ground, probably the biggest thing to consider is the worm burden.
We just know people are really invested in their animals. Like, this is why it's so important. People care for them so much and they want to do everything right by them that they can. And feed budgeting doesn't need to be complicated. I mean, if we just break it down to its most essential points, it's what feed do I need versus what feed do I have, and then working it out from there. Feed tests are really simple to do. Send your sample away and they'll send you results back. And it's very easy.
There are ways to work out how much water you've got left in your dams. You need to know how deep they are. So we've shown people some fairly simple ways to use simple at-hand materials like fishing equipment to make a dam deep measuring device that they can then understand the depth and then work out how long that water's going to last.
So it's about matching up what you've got, which, the reality is it may not be as good as what you'd want, but it's about matching what you do have to the most appropriate stock class.
So you might decide that you don't keep any young stock because you can't grow them out properly, and you might keep some of the older stock that normally you would sell because they're able to weather that fluctuation in weight loss and things like that a little bit better.
So keeping stock off paddocks whenever it's dry really helps the pastures recover more quickly whenever it does rain.
Pasture production is going to be paramount going into winter, early spring. Like, we're going to have to make every post a winner. So urea as a form of supplementary feed through top dressing of pastures does become a way that we can increase winter growth rates.
To a farmer, animals are one of the most important things on their farm. So we've had a great turnout today about farmers coming to seek help and talk to each other, see how everyone's going, hear some technical information that they can use on farm to help them in early decision making.
And two, every mouthful they have has got less energy in it anyway.
So early warning, doing a feed budget to plan, make sure you've got enough resources and you can get through this next period of 6 weeks that it might be until you've actually got paddock feed back in front of you.
Agriculture Victoria and other support agencies have a lot of information, so technical information that farmers can access in dry times. So they've just got to go to our agriculture.vic.gov.au dry seasons pages to find that information.